herd of reindeer. Reindeer, well, first of all, I'll come back to reindeer, but fallow deer are an interesting species. So, technically speaking, fallow deer are a non-native species. They're an imported species, imported probably with the Romans, because they are one of the dominant deer species in southern Europe. And if you see them in their natural territory of places like Mediterranean, warmer, drier, arid climates, their camouflage is incredible, absolutely incredible. But they probably lived in the UK quite a few thousand years ago and then died out. So they're a really interesting species ecologically, because the question is, should they be here? It was probably human activity that drove them out in the first place. We probably killed too many of them to eat. So by reintroducing them, are they a true reintroduction rather than a non-native species? And I think that's a really interesting debate to have when it comes to how we talk about reintroductions. They've been here long enough now that personally I'd count them as a native species. They were here thousands of years ago, they're back now. I would regard them as a reintroduced native species in the way we sort of consider the same of boar and a beaver. But I can understand why there is a debate amongst ecologists, zoologists, about whether that is the way we should look at them. So the other species that I just mentioned, the reindeer, we don't have native reindeer in this country. The only herd we have is up in the Cairngorms in Scotland, and they are a heavily protected managed herd. But the same thing is true of the reindeer. The reindeer used to live in this country as well. They were native at one point, and then we extincted them. So the same argument could be had for reindeer. Should we perhaps have more of those across the country? And despite the fact that anyone that's heard me on previous live or discussed this on some of Andy's lives, should we call them domestic lives when we're at home?
Yes.
On any of the domestic lives, you probably have heard me say that we have too many deer in this country. It's true, we do. But what we don't have is the right numbers of deer and other grazers in the right places. We're on the trail of red deer now. So we have far too many muntjac deer, which shouldn't be here at all. They are completely disruptive, non-native species. We have too many red deer in Scotland and not enough in southern Britain. So yes, we have too many in general, but a redistribution of the red deer population, a reduction of the muntjac deer population, and then there becomes space for the fallow deer, the reindeer, and wild ponies, and some of the other grazing or browsing herbivorous animals to make a return. Because an area like this, the reason there's so much bracken is simply because there's not enough grazing activity on here, and not just from one species. There should have ponies on it. If we're talking its natural condition, there should be ponies on here. There should be cattle, wild cattle of some description, as well as the deer.